Symbolic, isn't it? Taking out a Wii U and putting an Xbox Series S away. Guys, there is a reason why I am whipping out my old Wii U and giving it another crack. And to be honest with you, I wasn't expecting this to happen. My name is Julian Melnick and welcome back to, well, the console gaming channel. We're button mashers, thumbstick thrashers, and here to have a good time playing video games. Nintendo just announced that they're actually shutting down the Wii U and the Nintendo 3DS eShop. And I want to talk about that. Now, the Wii U launched in 2012, which was a long time ago. That's 10 years ago. Well, November of 2012, so almost 10 years ago. And I slept on this console. To be honest with you, I didn't even own a Wii. This idea of motion gaming and different stuff like that, I wasn't really into it. So I had switched over to PlayStation and had done the 3DS and the DS route. But what I have been blown away by using this machine is not its capabilities as a gaming device, but its virtual console. And if you don't know what virtual console is, where have you been? No, virtual console is basically emulation, Nintendo's emulation. And while this thing isn't super crazy impressive when it comes to its graphical capabilities, and yes, it's just a souped up Wii, what this thing does have is the ability to play over 300 titles that are from days of old. And the 3DS, for that matter, has the ability to play, I think, over 190 titles from days of old. And when we see stuff happen like closing down the eShop, that means we no longer have access to those titles. All right, so this thing was gimmicky at best when it was launched. I mean, 3D in a handheld system was something that was, I don't know, I got a lot of flack. When I would tell people I loved my 3DS, they're just like, yeah, it's kind of lame. I always keep 3D off. Me personally, I mean, this thing still works. I love this thing. And I mean, I still play it to this day. I have multiple Zelda games right now going through Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. And to be honest, Nintendo is putting out Nintendo Switch Online games, but I mean, the Ocarina of Time port that we got on the Nintendo Switch Online isn't as good as the 3DS port. I can't show you the 3D aspects of this game because it doesn't translate to the screen, but I'll tell you right now, the best Ocarina of Time, the best Ocarina of Time, I think, is on the 3DS. But we're not here talking about the 3DS, though we can just close it like this and it's good to go. We're here to talk about the Wii U and its store, because I think in it closing, Nintendo just made the Wii U the most valuable system for Nintendo fans. Now, it wouldn't be a normal everyday vlog if it wasn't for some delicious, yummy coffee. So, we gotta get ourselves a quick fix. And then, gotta get myself some sort of mug of sorts. Okay, nice and done. Oh gosh, oh gosh. Oh gosh, scary, 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 scary. Good. Now, as someone who's a fan, and I mean a large fan of Nintendo, it breaks my heart to see this happen, because Nintendo is notorious for not being a huge supporter of emulation. I mean, they go after people who emulate their games all the time. And yes, emulation is technically illegal if you don't own the games. That's neither here nor there. That's not the conversation of this. But this system right here, the Wii U, is the only system on market that has the ability to legally play games from Nintendo's back library. 300 plus games. Now, I know that Nintendo Switch Online exists. We have NES, Super Nintendo, but we don't have Game Boy Advance titles. We don't have Game Boy titles. And the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance titles between the 3DS and the Nintendo Wii U, we need to have these systems around. This thing is weird. I mean, it was for sure the predecessor and the test subject when it came to what we were gonna get for the Nintendo Switch. And it's kind of bizarre and awkward and big and clunky. And the Nintendo Switch is exactly what everyone wanted this to be, this hybrid system that you can go and do whatever you wanted. But, well, this no longer matters how weird this is. What this has, the Nintendo Switch doesn't have, is Virtual Console. Now, this isn't a Virtual Console title. This is Wind Waker, one of my favorite Zelda games. I mean, it comes out of this and that. Oh, it's so good. But anyway, songs aside, let's turn it down. That's just one of many games that we're waiting for Nintendo to give us on the Nintendo Switch. If we were to actually go into this thing and check out what it has to offer in the eShop, this is where things actually, well, blow my mind, because the amount of games that we have here that are AAA, amazing games from days of old, it breaks my heart that they're shutting down the store because the access to these, if you don't already own them, is gonna be few and far between. As we look here, we see stuff on the wish list that I've created thanks to my chat, stuff like the Metroid Prime trilogy, Super Mario RPG, Golden Sun, one of my favorite Game Boy Advance games, and well, this is a lot more clunky than a Game Boy SP, shout out to Morgan again, but this thing right here can play that game. And Nintendo, we just wanna see some of these retro titles. Again, these games are ones that we grew up with. I gotta drink some coffee, hold on. It's not the best, but it's good. These games are ones we grew up with. These games are ones that created this feeling of excitement. And in a time where, well, normalcy has changed completely, we see millennials, such as myself and plenty of other people, going and swooping up as many retro consoles as they can to play games that they did back when things were more normal, and I think that's a huge tell. Nintendo, please, please, do something with these titles, whether it's giving us the ability to purchase them for a 15th time in the Nintendo Switch eShop or some sort of collection. These titles we want. And yes, we do get another year with these titles on these systems, and it doesn't mean that they're gone as forever and your purchases don't matter. You still get to play them, but unless you go out and spend thousands of dollars collecting as many games as possible, you're not gonna be able to find these hard copies, so that's a thing. And back then, the way that they stored these games on the systems themselves weren't that good. It is digital copies stored locally, tied to your actual hardware. So if anything happens to your Wii U or your 3DS, you lose everything, which I've sold off both of them. These are not my original system. So I have had to repurchase multiple digital titles. Nintendo, please do something for us. Us gamers, us Nintendo fans, we love these games and we don't want to see them go. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you agree with me, let's talk. Which games would you want to see a hard copy re-release? Which games would you like to see a collection of? I want to know because I think that these retro titles in this time period is a beautiful thing. And last but certainly not least, hit the subscribe button. Become a part of this console gaming crew. We are having a great time playing video games and we're all about that couch co-op, baby. I wish I had some friends to do this with. We will. You're gonna wanna be around here for that. All right, happy gaming.